April 27, 2020, the Pentagon does something unprecedented. They officially released 3 videos. Fighter jet footage showing objects that move in ways that defy physics. Objects with no visible propulsion. Objects that accelerate instantly from a standstill to hypersonic speeds. And the U.S. Department of Defense confirms these videos are real, unaltered, and show unidentified aerial phenomena. For the first time in history, the most powerful military on Earth officially admits they're encountering technology they cannot explain. This isn't a leaked conspiracy video. This isn't shaky footage from someone's backyard. This is official U.S. military documentation, recorded by trained fighter pilots, tracked on multiple radar systems, captured on infrared cameras, and it's been verified as authentic by the Pentagon. So what exactly did these pilots see, and why did it take the government so long to admit it? Today, we're diving deep into the most credible UFO evidence ever released. Welcome back to Beyond Our World, where science meets mystery. I'm your host, and today we're examining the Pentagon UFO videos, the most important official disclosure about unidentified aerial phenomena in modern history. These aren't grainy photos or questionable witness accounts. These are military-grade recordings with multiple forms of verification. If you're new here, this channel explores space mysteries, unexplained phenomena, and the frontiers of science using evidence and critical thinking. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell, because we post new space mysteries every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now, before we analyze these videos, we need to understand the context. How did we get here? And why is this such a big deal? For decades, UFO sightings were dismissed, ridiculed, and treated as fringe conspiracy theories. Military pilots who reported strange encounters were often discouraged from filing reports. Some faced career consequences. The stigma was so strong that even credible witnesses stayed silent rather than risk being labeled crazy. But behind the scenes, something was changing. Between 2004 and 2021, U.S. Navy pilots were having repeated encounters with objects that displayed technology far beyond anything in the known aerospace inventory. Not just 1 or 2 isolated incidents. Dozens of encounters. Multiple pilots. Multiple ships. Multiple radar systems. All documenting the same impossible flight characteristics. And in 2017, everything changed. The New York Times published a bombshell article revealing that the Pentagon had been secretly investigating UFOs through a program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP. The program ran from 2007 to 2012 with a budget of $22 million. It was led by Luis Elizondo, a career intelligence officer, and it investigated military encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena. The article included something extraordinary. 3 videos, known as FLIR-1, Gimbal, and GoFast. These videos had been leaked years earlier and circulated online, but their authenticity was questioned. Now, with Pentagon confirmation and context from the New York Times, people had to take them seriously. And in April 2020, the Pentagon took the final step. They officially released the videos and confirmed they are genuine U.S. Navy footage showing unidentified aerial phenomena. This was historic. The U.S. government was admitting on the record that military pilots are encountering objects they cannot identify, objects that appear to display technology beyond known human capabilities. Let's examine each video in detail, and I'll explain why scientists and military experts find them so compelling. The first video is called FLIR-1, also known as the Tic Tac video. It was recorded on November 14, 2004, off the coast of San Diego. The USS Nimitz carrier strike group was conducting training exercises. The Aegis radar system, one of the most sophisticated in the world, started detecting strange objects. These objects would appear at 80,000 feet, drop down to 20,000 feet in seconds, then disappear. This went on for several days. Finally, 2 F/A-18 Super Hornets were scrambled to investigate. Commander David Fravor was the pilot. What happened next is one of the most documented UFO encounters in history. Fravor and his wingman, Lieutenant Commander Jim Slate, spotted a disturbance on the ocean surface. It looked like something was below the water, causing turbulence. And above this disturbance, hovering about 50 feet over the water, was an object. Fravor described it as shaped like a Tic Tac breath mint, about 40 feet long, white, smooth, no wings, no rotors, no visible propulsion, no exhaust. Nothing. Fravor decided to engage. He banked his F-18 toward the object, and the object reacted. It mirrored his movements. When he descended, it ascended. When he tried to cut it off, it anticipated his maneuver. Then, it did something impossible. From a standstill, the object accelerated and disappeared. Not slowly. Instantly. The radar operator on the USS Princeton tracked it. The object had traveled 60 miles in less than a minute. That's well over 600 miles per hour. Instantly, with no visible acceleration, no sonic boom, no heat signature. Fravor returned to the carrier, reported what he'd seen, and another F-18 was launched with advanced infrared tracking equipment. That pilot captured the FLIR-1 video. You can watch it yourself. It's been officially released by the Pentagon. The video shows a white object, elongated, moving across the infrared camera's field of view. The pilot is trying to lock onto it with his targeting system. You can hear the pilots talking. There's a whole fleet of them, look on the SA. Then the object suddenly accelerates and shoots off screen at incredible speed. The pilots react with shock. This wasn't a bird, it wasn't a balloon, it wasn't a drone. It was something that defied explanation. The second video is called Gimbal. It was recorded in 2015 by a Navy F/A-18 off the east coast of the United States. This video shows an object that appears to be rotating as it flies. The infrared camera captures a glowing shape with what looks like an aura around it. The object is moving against the wind. And here's the fascinating part. As the pilots watch, the object suddenly rotates. You can hear the pilot say, "Look at that thing, dude. It's rotating." The rotation is smooth and controlled. This isn't tumbling like a balloon or debris. This is a controlled maneuver. The pilots sound amazed. One says, "There's a whole fleet of them." Another responds, "My gosh, they're all going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots to the west." Think about that. Multiple objects, flying in formation, moving against 120-knot winds. That's hurricane-force wind. No balloon, no drone, no known aircraft could maintain formation in those conditions. And the objects are calm, stable, moving in perfect coordination. The infrared signature is also strange. It's glowing, but there's no heat plume, no exhaust. Whatever propulsion system these objects use, it doesn't generate the kind of heat signature that conventional engines produce. The third video is called GoFast. Recorded in 2015, also off the East Coast, this video shows an object skimming over the ocean at high speed. The infrared camera tracks it as it moves. The pilots are excited. One of them says, "Wow, what is that, man? Look at that flying!" The object appears to be moving incredibly fast. But here's where it gets interesting. Some skeptics initially claimed this could be a bird or a balloon, and that parallax effect, the way the camera is moving, makes it appear faster than it really is. Advanced analysis by physicists and imaging experts has been done on this video. The conclusions vary. Some think it could be a conventional object closer to the camera than it appears. Others argue the radar data, which we don't have access to publicly, would confirm it's moving at extraordinary speed. This is the least compelling of the three videos by itself. But in the context of the other encounters with radar confirmation and multiple witnesses, it becomes part of a larger pattern. Now, let's talk about what makes these videos so credible. First, they're not from random civilians with smartphones. These are military-trained pilots. Fighter pilots are among the most skilled observers in the world. They're trained to identify aircraft types at a glance. They understand aerodynamics, speed, altitude, and performance characteristics. If a Navy fighter pilot can identify something, that's significant. Second, these aren't just visual sightings. Multiple sensor systems confirmed these objects. Radar tracked them. Infrared cameras recorded them. The Aegis weapons system, capable of tracking hundreds of targets simultaneously, detected them. This is multi-sensor verification. You can't fool all these systems at once. Third, multiple witnesses. Commander Fravor wasn't alone. His wingman saw it. Radar operators saw it, other pilots saw it. This wasn't one person having a strange experience. This was a coordinated encounter with multiple professional military personnel. Fourth, the Pentagon confirmed it. The U.S. Department of Defense released these videos officially. They confirmed the footage is authentic and unaltered. They confirmed that these objects remain unidentified. This isn't leaked footage of questionable origin. This is official government documentation. And fifth, these aren't isolated incidents. The Navy has reported dozens, possibly hundreds of similar encounters. In June 2021, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released a report analyzing 144 UAP encounters between 2004 and 2021. Of those 144 encounters, only one was identified. 143 remain unexplained. The report specifically noted that 18 of the encounters showed unusual flight characteristics. Objects that appeared to remain stationary in high winds. Objects that moved against the wind. Objects that maneuvered abruptly. Objects that moved at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. The report concluded that these objects represent a potential threat to flight safety and possibly to national security. So what could these objects be? Let's go through the possibilities. The first explanation many people jump to is aliens. And honestly, given what we've seen, you can understand why. These objects display technology that seems beyond human capability. But before we conclude extraterrestrial, we need to rule out terrestrial explanations. Could these be secret U.S. military aircraft? Some kind of black project that even most of the military doesn't know about? This seems unlikely for several reasons. First, why would you test secret aircraft in the middle of your own carrier strike group training exercises? You'd risk a collision with your own pilots. Second, why would you then release the footage and admit you can't identify them? That would compromise your own program. Third, the technology displayed seems beyond what even classified programs could achieve. Instant acceleration with no sonic boom, no visible propulsion, movement that defies inertia. We have no evidence humans have mastered these capabilities, even in secret programs. Could they be foreign adversaries? Russia or China testing advanced drones near U.S. military assets? This is the explanation that worries Pentagon officials the most. If Russia or China has developed technology this advanced, that's a massive national security threat. But there are problems with this theory too. First, the encounters started in 2004. If China or Russia had this technology 20 years ago, we would have seen it deployed elsewhere by now. Second, the physics involved seem beyond current human engineering. These objects don't just represent incremental advancement, they represent a paradigm shift in propulsion and materials science. Third, why would you repeatedly expose your most advanced technology to the world's most powerful military? You'd risk it being shot down, captured, or photographed. That's operationally foolish. Fourth, U.S. intelligence has significant insight into Russian and Chinese aerospace programs. If they had technology this revolutionary, we'd probably know. Could they be some kind of natural phenomenon? Ball lightning, atmospheric effects, optical illusions? The problem with this explanation is the multi-sensor confirmation. Radar doesn't see ball lightning, infrared cameras don't track atmospheric illusions, and pilots with years of experience can distinguish between natural phenomena and solid objects. The sensor data, combined with visual confirmation, rules out most natural explanations. Could they be equipment malfunctions or sensor errors? Maybe the radar was glitching. Maybe the infrared cameras had artifacts. Maybe the pilots misinterpreted what they were seeing. But remember, multiple independent systems all detected the same objects. The probability that multiple advanced military systems all malfunctioned in the same way at the same time is astronomically low, especially when those malfunctions perfectly correlate with what trained pilots are seeing with their own eyes. This brings us back to the extraterrestrial hypothesis. Is it possible these are alien craft? From a purely scientific standpoint, we can't rule it out. The flight characteristics, the lack of visible propulsion, the incredible speeds, the lack of heat signatures, all of this could potentially be explained by technology from a more advanced civilization. But here's the problem. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And while these videos are compelling, they're not conclusive proof of alien visitation. We don't have wreckage, we don't have occupants, we don't have communication. We have footage of objects we can't identify. That's significant, but it's not proof of origin. What we can say with confidence is this: these objects are real. They were detected by military sensors. They display flight characteristics that we cannot currently explain with known technology. And they represent something anomalous that requires serious scientific investigation. Let's talk about the government's response. In 2020, the Pentagon established the UAP Task Force, officially tasked with detecting, analyzing, and cataloging unidentified aerial phenomena. In 2022, this was upgraded to the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. This office has a broader mandate. They're collecting reports from military personnel across all branches, they're analyzing sensor data, they're investigating incidents, and they're briefing Congress. Speaking of Congress, there have been official hearings. In May 2022, Congress held its first public hearing on UFOs in over 50 years. Military officials testified. They showed videos. They discussed the national security implications. And in July 2023, another hearing took place. This one included testimony from whistleblowers, including David Grush, a former intelligence official who made extraordinary claims about crash retrieval programs. Grush testified, under oath, that the U.S. government has retrieved craft of non-human origin and that biological material has been recovered. These claims remain unverified, and Grush provided no physical evidence during his testimony. But the fact that Congress is taking this seriously, that official hearings are happening, that legislation is being passed to protect whistleblowers and mandate transparency, this shows a fundamental shift in how the government treats this topic. In 2024, AARO released its findings after reviewing decades of UFO reports. They concluded that most sightings can be explained by conventional objects, natural phenomena, or foreign surveillance. But a significant percentage remain unexplained. They found no evidence of extraterrestrial technology, but they also acknowledged that some encounters involve objects with flight characteristics that challenge current understanding. They called for continued investigation using better sensors and more rigorous scientific analysis. This is where we are now. The U.S. government is officially investigating UFOs. NASA has launched its own independent study of UAP. Scientists are getting involved. The stigma is slowly lifting. Pilots are reporting encounters without fear of ridicule. And data is being collected systematically. So what do scientists think? The scientific community is divided, but increasingly engaged. Dr. Avi Loeb, the chair of Harvard's astronomy department, has been vocal about taking this seriously. He's argued that we should investigate these phenomena with the same rigor we apply to any scientific mystery. He's even launched the Galileo project, which aims to use high-quality instruments to search for evidence of extraterrestrial technology. Other scientists are more skeptical. They argue that without physical evidence, we can't draw conclusions. They point out that sensor data can be misinterpreted, that pilots, while trained, can still misperceive, that the videos, while intriguing, don't prove anything definitively, and that jumping to extraterrestrial explanations is premature when we haven't exhausted conventional ones. Both positions are valid. Science requires skepticism and demands evidence, but it also requires openness to possibilities, even ones that challenge our understanding. Here's what I find most fascinating. The Pentagon videos have changed the conversation. For the first time, we're having serious mainstream discussions about UFOs without mockery. Major news outlets cover it. Scientists publish papers about it. Congress holds hearings. The military takes it seriously as a potential national security issue. This is a paradigm shift. And regardless of what these objects ultimately are, whether they're foreign drones, secret U.S. technology, natural phenomena we don't understand yet, or something truly extraordinary, the fact that we're investigating systematically is progress. Because the worst possible response to the unknown is to ignore it, to dismiss it, to let stigma prevent investigation. For decades, that's what happened. Pilots saw things they couldn't explain and stayed silent. Data existed but wasn't analyzed. Encounters happened but weren't investigated. That's changing. And that change is important. Looking ahead, what comes next? More data collection. The Department of Defense is encouraging personnel to report UAP encounters. They're improving sensor systems. They're developing better protocols for investigation. NASA is using scientific methods to study the phenomenon. They're not assuming aliens. They're simply treating this as an unknown that deserves study. Future military aircraft will have more advanced cameras and sensors. We'll get better footage, higher resolution, more sensor modalities. If these objects are real and they continue to appear, we'll accumulate more evidence. And eventually, we'll either identify them or conclude that they represent technology beyond our current understanding. There's also growing international cooperation. Other countries have reported similar encounters: France, Japan, Chile, Brazil, the UK. Many nations are sharing data and coordinating investigation. This is a global phenomenon, not just an American one. So where does this leave us? The Pentagon UFO videos are the most credible evidence we've ever had of unidentified aerial phenomena. They're not proof of aliens, but they're proof that something is happening in our skies that we don't understand. Something that multiple trained observers have witnessed, something that advanced sensor systems have detected, something that displays flight characteristics we can't explain, and the government is finally admitting it. This is huge. This is historic. This changes the conversation about UFOs forever. We're no longer talking about conspiracy theories and blurry photos. We're talking about official military documentation, congressional hearings, scientific investigation. And whatever the final answer is, whether mundane or extraordinary, we're finally trying to find out. Because the unknown demands investigation. Mystery demands curiosity. And the truth, whatever it is, deserves to be discovered. So what do you think? Are these objects alien spacecraft? Advanced foreign drones? Secret human technology? Or something else entirely? Drop your theories in the comments. This topic generates passionate debate, and I love reading your perspectives. If you found this investigation valuable, hit that like button. It helps more people discover evidence-based analysis of these mysteries. And make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because we post new space mysteries every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Next time, we're exploring Oumuamua, the mysterious interstellar object that flew through our solar system in 2017. It moved in ways that no asteroid or comet should move, and a Harvard astronomer thinks it might be an alien probe. We'll examine all the evidence. Until then, keep looking up, because there's something up there, and we're finally trying to figure out what it is.